This is a painting project that most beginners should be able to do. It's completed simply in 2 steps. After I taped my watercolor paper down, I sprayed down the paper all over with my spray bottle. And I held my board upright so that I could keep my spray bottle upright as well. Next, I'm going to take a brush and make sure that I've got all the area covered and I didn't miss any spots. I don't want any of the paper to be dry. If I tilt the board sideways, the light will show me if I've missed any spots. And I also want to get any extra beads of water off the edges of the tape. With a sunset bullseye, my center is yellow, so I'm going to take yellow paint and make a large circle in the center. Now the size of this circle depends on the side of your paper. In this case, I wanted the circle to be perhaps 4 or 5 inches in diameter. The important part, to paint on gently and have it be fairly fluid, because as I approach my second color of the bullseye, which is red, I want it to bleed as I overlap my stroke. I'm overlapping my stroke, and I want it very lightly to float on the surface and blend in to the yellow. Now you'll notice that I run out of paint on the lower part of my stroke. And it's important not to press harder and try to have the paint expand. Remember, when you're doing this technique, you're trying to simply float the paper on and you're letting the watercolor paint itself. My third color that I add is blue. And again, I want to apply lightly and overlap the red. I'm wanting to cover all the way to the edges with the blue. And I'm going to wipe down the masking tape edges, any excess paint, because I don't want that to go back into my painting. After the whole painting is covered, I'm going to take the painting and hold it vertical to see if any of the painting will run. If it doesn't, I'm going to take my spray bottle and lightly spray where the colors overlap. I'm going to continue to move the painting in several directions, also wiping off any excess paint that is gathering on the masking tape. Again, lightly spray, but remember, every time I spray, my colors are going to become lighter. In order for the colors to blend, I need to hold my painting upright. This literally allows the painting to paint itself. At this point, I'm going slower and being patient to let the paint run. I don't want to overspray and flood the painting at this point. When you like the painting, lay it flat and let it dry. After my painting is totally dry, I'm going to apply my second layer. Now I want this mixture of paint to be drier than when I did the bullseye washes. I'm using a natural hair brush. It's called a chip brush, and you can get it at any hardware store. It allows me to do texture in a very simple organic manner so that it doesn't look too uniform. Now I'm wanting to put the palm tree in behind the first palm tree that I just painted in. So I'm just making that wash just a little bit darker. Again, the mixture is a little drier. Now the one in the foreground, I've gone ahead and I'm putting in that shape with a very transparent orange light mixture of paint. While I'm applying this paint, I'm making sure that my paint is rather dry. I don't want it to be too wet. Here I'm starting to add the texture of the foreground grasses or the brush that's at the bottom of the palm trees. And you'll notice that I haven't painted in my tree trunks because I want to wait and attach those in after I've established my foreground and I've got the boughs of my trees painted in. My boughs being, of course, the palms. So I'm just continuing to dry brush almost these shapes that suggest foliage in the foreground. This saves a lot of time using this brush because it gives me a texture and a look, and I don't have to do a lot of detail at this point. Now I've taken my small round brush and I'm going to draw in the trunks of the palm trees. Now I don't want to draw the trunk and then fill it in. I'm just taking one line down. Now I'm going to want to darken the palm in the background. So I'm going to take a little purple and mix it in with my red, and with my chip brush I'm going to darken that palm. As I darken the palm in the back, it pushes the palm in the middle ground forward. I also want to darken a little bit on the inside of that middle palm just to add a little bit of variety and a little more depth. I'm still keeping the palm shapes in silhouette, but I want to add a little bit of dimension. So again, with a little bit darker red, by adding a little bit of purple, I'm going into the center of the palm tree. I'll also darken the center of the smallest palm tree in the foreground. I'm going to take my round brush now, and with the darker red purple, I'm going to accent the palm trees themselves. I've put a little bit of the shadow under the palm boughs and also beneath the foliage at the base of the palm trees. I'm also pulling a little bit of detail of palm strands and the edges of the palm fronds, just giving it a little bit more definition. Now you can slow down and start adding more detail with your round brush. And you can bring attention to the palm fronds and more into the trunks of the trees, darkening some areas. You don't want to do a whole solid dark shape. I might want to go ahead and put a little bit of variety of dark and light in the foliage at the bottom in the foreground. Create some shapes that suggest grape leaves or palms. Now to create the water effect, I'm going to go again with my dry brush below the surface of the foreground foliage. And I'm going to dry brush in the same red and purple paint mixture. Then I'm going to lightly spray it to let it run. When that's dry, your picture's done.